Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Jackie. And we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. This week, we are headed on a treasure hunt with the 2004 movie National Treasure. And we're excited to have our pod pal from the Totally Rad Christmas podcast, Jerry, join us on this adventure. Welcome, Jerry.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'll give myself an applause there.
We are super excited to one, take you out of the 80s today, and two, we're in spring, not Christmas time, so you're really gonna have a blast.
Yes,
that's fun. Yeah, let's do it.
And this movie is launching us right into summer, so we're pretty stoked about that. But before we get started, we have some housekeeping. Why was that so slow? Okay.
It was like weird slow motion. I think because we don't want to mess it up.
I thought it was great. I loved it.
Thank you.
If you want to know how to help the podcast grow and shine, you should become one of our Patreon besties. Actually, I changed that around. I went off book. Let me start over. Interested in exclusive content, stickers, ask me anythings, polls, bonus videos, lives, and Spotify playlists? Then you should become one of our Patreon besties. Head to patreon.com. I always say backslash. Patreon.com/no-more-late-fees.
And if money's tight, you can always just leave us a 5-star review. Did you know that leaving us reviews and rating us helps to increase our viewership? So if you want to help us grow, head on over to Apple, Spotify, Podchasers, Good Pods, or your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review.
You want to rock some No More Late Fees merch? No problem. Head to our Redbubble page and you can get a t-shirt, stickers, socks, clocks, whatever you want.
Check us out at nomorelatefees.redbubble.com. So National Treasure is a 2004 American action-adventure film released by Walt Disney Pictures and produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. The movie follows historian and codebreaker Ben Gates, played by Nicolas Cage. He's been searching his whole life for a rumored treasure dating back to the creation of the United States. Joining his expedition is fellow treasure hunter Ian Howe, played by Sean Bean, and kidnapped/in for the ride, Dr. Abigail Chase, an archivist at the National Archives. Gates and his crew have to race around the clock, the FBI and a former colleague to get the treasure. Hold on, that cadence. Gates and his crew have to race against the clock, the FBI, and a former colleague to get the treasure of a lifetime. We didn't include Riley in that synopsis, and that makes me sad.
Add him in. And don't forget our boy Riley. I can add him in. And don't forget our boy Riley, who, by the way, is coming back for the National Treasure TV show.
Yay!
Yes, I saw that.
So maybe, just maybe, we might be getting a National Treasure 3, for fuck's sake.
I hope so. I will watch treasure hunts all day, every day.
Long overdue.
So National Treasure stars Nicolas Cage, Harvey Keitel, John Voight, Diane Kruger, Sean Bean, Justin Bartha, and Christopher Plummer. It was written by Marion Wibberley, Cormac Wibberley, Jim Koof, E. Max Fry, Ted Elliott, and Jonathan Hensley. And it was directed by John Turteltaub. And you can watch it on Disney+. But before we get started, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we'll reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again.
The best would play on repeat.
5-day rental.
Would watch again.
2-day rental.
Okay, but nothing to write home about.
Same-day rental.
Trash. Straight up trash. Jerry, what's your Y2K rating?
Let's see. So when I saw it, I remember really digging it. I thought it was super cool, different premise. I think my Y2K self Would, when it first came out, I think it would have been, the best, would play on repeat.
Would buy it. Sounds
Would
good.
buy it. Yeah, I definitely would buy, would buy again. Yeah.
We already know what Jackie's is going to be.
You know I owned it.
Am I going to make it a trifecta here? Well, guess what, guys? Y2K Danielle loved National Treasure.
Nice.
And it would buy it.
We're on our way to maybe National Treasure returning. We pick 2022. We'll see.
We shall see. We shall see. Let's talk about money, people, because that's what this movie's about, right?
It is. Give me that treasure.
The budget for this movie was $100 million. That's right. I said 100. I don't understand.
I don't doubt it.
I don't. Where did they spend it? I have.
Right.
I mean, it's a great movie, but like, where did they spend that money? I don't get it.
So if we math, and each fake Declaration of Independence cost $35.99, how many would we need for $100 million?
That's a lot of declarations.
Nicolas Cage's toupee got like $5 million.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
I hope he should just get plugs and call it a day. Call Steve Carell. He knows the deal.
Exactly. Look, guys, come on. I'm gonna be right there with you. Just
just own
it. Just own it, Nick.
Well, it was an investment. It was a great investment because
it was.
This movie made $347.5 million worldwide. That's a lot of cheese, a lot of cheddar. Mm-hmm. It earned $11 million on its opening day in the US, ahead of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. I'm shocked. I'm shook.
Why was SpongeBob not number one?
I'm actually surprised. Let's not pretend.
Well, I mean, but what they don't tell you is that all that was really, it earned 11 million, but only in Templar gold. So,
exactly. Yes.
You got to convert that to US dollars. So.
It did really well. I have a bunch of cool factoids to just throw at us. The film had its best opening weekend for a Disney film released in November, but it was surpassed later by Chicken Little. That's surprising. I think we sleep on Chicken Little. It held the #1 spot for 3 weekends. Our buddy Lil Raj, as our wonderful friends roll call have named him. I can't. So Jackie's wearing her roll call shirt, and I'm waiting for mine. I bought the Lil Raj shirt. Super excited. So Lil Raj said that he gave the film 2 out of 4 stars. Damn. Calling it so silly that the Monty Python version could use the same screenplay line for line.
There were some lines that I was just like, no, Nick Cage, no.
There's definitely some cringe moments, but I think that's what makes like the rest of it like so good,
And it's Nicolas Cage, so you just expect it. Like we've accepted the fact that he's kind of cringy sometimes, and it's okay.
It reminds me very much of that episode of Community where Abed like watches all those Nick Cage
movies.
And then he like just loses it. You never know with Nick Cage. It's up and down.
I love Community.
It's so good. Yeah.
It's just, for me, I don't think at the time I thought Nicolas Cage was weird. I just was vibing. I was vibing with him.
Yeah.
But now,
I don't think we realized till later in retrospect. And then we're like, were we all drinking the same Kool-Aid where we thought Nick Cage was a decent actor?
I don't know what movie did it for me. Moonstruck. I'm not gonna. Moonstruck.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's a good one too.
And Peggy Sue
got married.
Those were the ones that I was like, this dude's cool. I like him.
Watched it like all the time because my mom loved it.
All right, you guys ready to dive in to this wonderful American treasure?
I'm ready.
Okay.
The movie starts out in Washington, D. in 1974. A young Ben Gates is exploring the attic of his, I don't know if, I'm assuming it's grandfather's house. Grandpa, played by Christopher Plummer, right?
Yeah, AKA the dad from The Sound of Music.
Yes.
Yes.
He regales them the story of the Freemasons, and Charles Carroll was the last living signer of the Declaration of Independence. He was very ill, and like his coach driver was the great great grandfather of Benjamin Gates. And so he told the Freemasons secret because he was on his deathbed. And so now this clue has been passed down from generation to generation. Apparently no one could figure it out. I guess we had to wait for Google. That's what I'm assuming.
I want to call out a few things in this scene alone.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
So now adult Danielle is seeing National Treasure, and I have to look at this movie in either two ways. Either this is bullshit, or American history as it's told in this country, to look at it as a fairy tale. Like it's a fun group of made up stories with a sprinkle of truth, with a whole bunch of stuff just taken out to make it look a certain way, because there's groups of people missing, there's realities missing. So I have to like look at it from that perspective, that these are just stories. Unfortunately, many people believe them for fact completely, and that's what the problem.
I thought you were going to chase this conspiracy theory down the rabbit hole. So I'm glad we're not going in that direction.
You look very worried.
Yeah.
I was because I'm like, oh, Danielle's going to go off on Freemasons and.
Oh no, we don't have the time today. No, I just mean like when I was younger, I didn't really know what I know now. And now that I know that there's so many people who are missing from our history books, and how this movie essentially perpetuates this false narrative of our American history. But if I look at it from a fictional standpoint, I'm fine.
Okay. So that's the lens in which you choose to view
that's
this.
how I'm choosing to look at this movie.
Okay.
Completely. Fair. Because hashtag National Treasure so white. That's one thing. And the second thing is, eventually we see Ben's dad come in, who's played by that horrible human being, John Voight.
John Voight.
Can we talk about like, why couldn't they have made younger actors play them? What the fuck is on his head? Is that a wig? Why he look older than his daddy? Tell me he don't look older than his daddy in this scene.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he's not older than Christopher Plummer. You look bad, Voight. He looks real bad. I was like, you guys could have just had younger actors play these roles. This is ridiculous. That wig was ridiculous, or the toupee. It was like damn near lifting off his fucking head.
Maybe a good chunk of the budget went to the toupees for the men. They should have just put them all in powdered wigs at this point.
If they had a black
stylist, I would have dug
there, if they had a black
a little
stylist,
bit of historical accuracy.
Yeah, I mean, if they would have had a black stylist, the wigs have been right.
Hell yeah, a nice lace
Talk to
front.
your wig master.
Nice lace front. You wouldn't have noticed shit. It's bad.
So now we are given the first clue. The secret lies with Charlotte. Cut to, they're in snow. I'm assuming it's like near the Arctic.
They're in Antarctica. Or what I like to call places white people like to go.
This is true. And so we see Ian, who is
business partners. Yes. Right? They're actually partners. Yeah.
Yes. They're friends.
At this point.
Yeah.
All we know is that they're partners. Yeah.
But this is Sean Bean's probably the
so
only
you know something
role.
shady is gonna happen.
Right. One, it's Sean Bean, so you know he's about to be a villain. And two, this is, spoiler alert, one of the only pieces of media I've seen him in that he doesn't die.
Yeah.
Think about it.
It's like this in Pixels or something.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, not that I've seen Pixels.
Right. You know you've seen it.
So, and we are also introduced to Riley. I love Riley. And Riley is very knowledgeable in tech things. I think that's why Ben keeps him around. Anyway, so they have located the Charlotte. It is under ice. They have to get in. So Ian and Riley both think we're going to find the treasure on the Charlotte. Ben is like, oh, we're just looking for another clue. Like there's clues upon clues. That's how it works. And they're like, what the fuck? But they go down into the hall and there are tons of barrels of gunpowder. But Ben notices that the skeleton of the captain is guarding one of the barrels. So he digs in there and he finds this little pipe. And so Riley's like, is that $1 billion pipe? Is that $1 million pipe?
I mean,
and
it was like ivory, right? Like,
yes,
it looked like it was made out of ivory.
Yes,
okay.
it was and it had a lot of carvings, and then the like stem part detached from the actual pipe part. And then Ben just cuts his finger open and smears his blood all over the stem of the pipe because it's actually like a rolly stamp. And he rolls it out, and there's the next verse of the clue.
And at this moment is when Myrtle, my grandmother, would have said, "This is a witchcraft movie, no more, turn it off."
Because of the blood?
Yes.
Like, how do you just cut yourself like that? I mean,
right.
Yeah,
I've never ever done that, like, ever.
Nope. And you see it so much.
Yeah, I was like, there's all this gunpowder around. You can mix like some spit and gunpowder and like roll it out.
Right. It's got to be a blood oath pack. Illuminati.
Blood in, blood out. Blood in, blood out.
Also, back to Sean Bean again.
Yes, tell us.
When I say that this man has died in every freaking thing he's done, he's died 23 times in film and TV. 23. That'll make no sense.
Which is your favorite?
Okay. Of course, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Ben is doing this weird thing where he's like saying the riddle out loud, and then he's like, iron pen. Like he's just like, I don't know. He is an odd duck. And Ian and Riley are just standing there like, what's happening right now? Why are you talking to himself?
He's the Rain Man of treasure hunts.
He is.
But But I know you can't be judging nobody, Jackie, because I've been in one of those escape rooms with you, and the energy you give off is Monica.
Very Ben Gates.
No, it's Ben Monica Gates? From Friends.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be like.
Worse?
Man, I wish I was like David from Schitt's Creek when he was in the when he was in the escape room, and he hated it at first, and then he was just like, what's the next clue? That's the energy I want to bring. Or Alexis just being like, pyramid.
No, combination. You're Monica from Friends, 100%. I still love you though.
Thank you.
I mean, I get it. I've thought out loud to myself, trying to figure things out. But yeah, he takes it to that Nick Cage level that no one can ever match.
And he's so slow when he's talking too.
Yeah.
This
movie would have been like 15 minutes shorter if he had just talked in a normal person cadence. And not his Nick Cage cadence. So he finally figures out the pen is, the iron describes what was penned. And so then he figures out that it's the Declaration of Independence. And Ian's like, great, let's go steal it. And Ben's like, you can't do that. And Ian's like, watch me. I'm going to shoot you and your little friend too. And so has Sean Bean not been the Wicked Witch of the West yet?
No.
She does.
Yeah, she does die. That's who he's gonna play next. You didn't hear? He booked Wicked, the movie.
It's gonna be Alphaba. So there's a fight with guns. And and Ben does this thing where he's like, he lights a flare and he's like, if you shoot me, I'll drop it. The whole hole is full of gunpowder. It's going to explode. No one will get out. And then he's like, or catch. And then Ian does. And he's like, well, fuck. But apparently Ian had gunpowder all over himself. So homeboy had to stop, drop, and roll because he was on fire. And so then that's when Riley and Ben were able to escape. Everyone made it out of that ship exploding, which I call bullshit.
Yeah,
for real. Okay, well, here's what I want to know.
Yes.
Okay, he figures out everything. Ian says, we're going to steal it. Why, at this moment, when you're still underwater or whatever in the ship in Antarctica, do you tell him, like, I'm not going to go with your plan here?
Yeah.
Like, wait till you're back safe on land, in wherever in the US, and then say something.
Yeah, it's all cool. He doesn't even have to tell you his plan. Like,
right.
Like, don't even tell Ian that you're going to foil his plot.
Exactly. Yes.
It's the Rain Man in him. He can't help it.
That thinking out loud again.
Yeah.
So now we're back in Washington, D.C. And legit, Ben does try to do things the legal way. He goes to the CIA and the FBI and then the archives director, who is Abigail Chase, played by Diane Kruger.
Who could not cover her German accent.
No.
At all.
See, here's what I want to know. Why did she have to?
Yeah, they could have just made her. Right.
Yeah. Because they made some bullshit line about she's Pennsylvania Dutch. Like,
oh, maybe that's why. Yeah, you're right about that.
Girl, you're German. Just be German. You can work at the archives in DC and be German. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so.
Yeah. Or work with a dialect coach. Either way.
That's where all the money went.
Exactly.
They spent too much on the toupees. They
couldn't get a dialect coach.
We're just going to make a long running list of all the things the money should have gone.
$1 million.
$100 million. Maybe they had to pay the government to shoot in places. That's all I can think of.
Probably, I guess.
Maybe they really dug that hole.
Well, not necessarily, because a lot of the where they filmed wasn't even at some of these locations. So where'd the money go?
Show me the receipts.
Cocaine, dog.
Probably. So
I don't know, but it does look really nice. It's shot very well.
Ben Gates has exhausted all of his options, but while he is in Abigail Chase's office, he sees that she has George Washington's campaign buttons, but she's missing one, which, come to find out, she's not really missing one.
Yeah.
Hold on. Most of the buttons in Abigail's collection could be referred to as the 1789 inaugural, but the button Ben ultimately sends Abigail is the Pater Patri button, which was already shown to be in her collection.
So...
I guess she needed two.
I have a backup in case you lose it.
Right. So, but what we see Ben doing prior to sending her the inaugurational button is he's made this like fluorescent liquid, and he's like trying it out. You don't know what he's doing with it yet, but he's concocting. And Riley is doing recon. He's going and tapping into the camera system because there's going to be like this big gala. And so that's when they're going to use the opportunity to steal the Declaration of Independence.
And this is where they lost me at this age, because come on now, out of all the things that are possible, this is not one of them. It's just not. You're not getting the Declaration of Independence at all. Like, come on.
I thought we were suspending belief.
Yeah, on like the fact that they messed up all the historical shit, but like this is just, come on, logic defying. This don't make any sense.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's super ridiculous, but it's fun.
It is so much fun.
I think.
I mean, if I ever get a chance to use the Declaration of Independence as like a bulletproof shield, like I'm totally doing that. So
why wasn't that Captain America's shield? Come on.
Oh, that would have been genius.
I think what would have made it even more intriguing for me is if they had an inside man that kind of helped them. Because then I'm like, okay, they had the inside track. But what they figured out.
Ben be doing more of that talking out loud.
Yeah. So Ben is like, look, there's a way to do this. And Riley's like, there's no way. It's guarded all the time. It's in I'm calling a pressure cooker because it's completely encased. Mm-hmm. And then when it's not encased, every night it's going down to this safe all the way like down at the bottom.
Bomb-proof like vault.
Yeah. Yes.
And so Ben's like, but there is a way. If for whatever reason, like because it's heat sensitive, if anybody's coming near it and the temperature rises because the document is so sensitive, it's so sensitive, but we about to steal this shit and take it out. But okay.
So Riley goes in and he trips the heat sensor. Poor old lady's just standing there looking at it, but he uses a little laser, trips the heat sensor, which pulls the real declaration underground. And now there's like a faux one displayed. So now that they know it's the real one that's underground, they can go retrieve it while the gala is going on. It's the night of the gala. It's real easy to sneak in. You just dress up as a maintenance man and print you out a badge.
That's how I always get into all my galas.
Right? He has his little tool belt, which has all of his things he needs to get down into the vault.
So now he's Batman.
He is. Ben Gates is Batman. Have you ever seen Ben Gates and Bruce Wayne in a room together?
Did y'all buy their chemistry between Ben and
no,
Kruger?
not
Abigail,
at all.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And apparently they would go and do karaoke together to help bond with one another.
What songs Nick Cage was singing? Guess, just throw out your first
anything
guess.
by Elvis.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But the first duet that popped into my head was "Don't Go Breaking My Heart" by Elton John and Kiki D.
I said, no, she's not gonna say this song. We have ESPN.
Tonight we are one. The shimmy back and forth as they sing it.
Don't go breaking my heart.
I couldn't if I tried. So getting back to it, Ben has a tuxedo on underneath his maintenance jumpsuit. So now he's ready to party
afterwards.
Yes.
How does he get that on?
I would have loved to pull away like with Velcro versus a zip. I just feel like it'd have been more fun, you know?
Just like warm-up pants.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Just
So he goes out, he bumps into Abigail. He was stalking her because he needs her fingerprints. So he hands her a flute of champagne. Then this other rando dude comes over, also has a flute of champagne for her. So Ben's like, oh, I'll take that from you, and takes the one that she's holding. So now he runs back into the men's room and does Ziploc bag chemistry to bring out the fingerprints that are on the champagne flute.
I believe it. I learned this from Beverly Hills Cop. Some super glue. You can make it happen.
All the years that I took all the sciences and all the chemistry, not once did we learn Ziploc chemistry.
You missed that elective.
I guess so. I guess so.
So, and then he has like a finger condom that he rolls on so that he can get her fingerprints. You disappeared, Danielle.
Gotta love these virtual backgrounds.
So now he's ready because he's got
his condom. He's ready
practicing safe breaking and entering.
Right.
And so he goes over to the little computery thing. He does the little fingerprint. And now this is where the phosphorescence come back in, because that button was covered in the stuff. And she had typed in her password earlier, so he is able to like UV light see what letters were used. Riley's running some sort of code to crack the code, and then Ben's just like, Valley Forge, use the L twice, and so he gets in, no problem. Meanwhile,
back at the ranch,
Ian is underground just blowing shit up.
Yeah, and see, I love Ian's style here. He's just like, we're just gonna go in and get it. I don't care what we have to do. And Ben's all like trying to Ocean's 11 it, and
yes,
like, no, we're gonna bond this.
And he's gonna tell the government, I had to steal it so he wouldn't steal it. Yeah, because I would take better care of it.
That's exactly what he tells him.
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing.
And
but I love it.
Does he not? The other guy, does he not think that like you're like, this is beyond federal charges? This is, I'm locking you away for the rest of your life. Like, even if you get the treasure and get all this money, like, where the hell do you think you're gonna hide? The American government hates nothing more than you fucking with the fake history that they have laid upon us.
That may be money. I mean,
yeah,
if he's that rich, he might be able to buy his way out of it.
You're right.
Harvey Keitel just said he needs to arrest someone.
That's
it.
That's true. Yeah, it doesn't matter who.
It doesn't matter who. That's why Ben's like, oh, I'll get you someone. I'll get
Don't
you.
worry. I got you.
I got you.
They had a lot of conversations when I really feel like they just would have busted his ass. Like, this is where I'm like,
I thought that too. That was my thought too. Exactly.
We having conversations? Oh, okay.
So Ben gets in. He can't get all the screws out of the pressure cooker in order to get the declaration out in time. So he's like, I'll just do it in the elevator.
That shit must be so heavy.
How much do you think that thing weighs? Because it's bulletproof, 3-inch bulletproof glass.
Maybe he's doing burpees. You don't know. I know. Arm day is a must.
So as he's like waiting for the elevator, here comes Ian blasting his way in, and they start shooting him. So Ben is using the Declaration as a shield and backing up into the elevator.
Captain America, yo.
Captain America. And so Ben gets away with the Declaration. He gets the case open in the elevator, I guess, while we're just going up to the lobby. Question mark.
Yeah, he does.
And so now
why not?
he's now in the souvenir shop, and the lady, the cashier, she doesn't miss anything. She sees what's happening in her souvenir shop, and that man is trying to steal a replica of the Declaration of
Give that
Independence.
lady a raise. She deserves a raise. She is on point.
Yeah.
And Ben lives in a modern society. He doesn't carry cash. So he has to use his credit card to buy the Declaration of Independence, which is how the FBI can track him.
Yeah.
I feel like this woman, was she Black?
Yes.
I feel like this is the only Black character in
No,
this movie.
there are 3.
There are 3? Okay.
So there's the little boy that does the Silence Do Good letters.
Right,
yeah.
And then the lady that hides Abigail when the bald guy's looking for her.
That's right. Yeah.
So pretty much
like her ex or something.
2 out of the 3 are aiding and abetting these felons.
Well, so souvenir
that.
lady doesn't know.
I said 2 out of 3. She's not doing it, but the other 2 are. Oh, it's tragic.
Yeah. So now, so Abigail follows Ben out because at this time, now they've realized that the vault has been breached. And she's like, no, you effing didn't. Like, go stomping out there. You know how there's like those TikToks of like white women shit? This is it. Someone has just stolen the Declaration of Independence. She's like, I'm getting it back. I'll go do it in a ball gown and heels. Watch me. She doesn't grab a weapon. She doesn't have a plan. She's just yelling.
My white lady privileges are about to whip your ass.
And they're like, just standing there arguing, and Riley is like, get in the fucking van. Get in the van now.
Come on, let's go.
We have committed multiple felonies. We will go to prison forever. Get in the fucking van. So she snatches the declaration from him. He's like, okay, take it, whatever. They drive off, but Ian sees her handing it. And so Ian now kidnaps Abigail. And now we're in this. Oh, and then he unrolls it or opens the canister. I can't remember which. And the price tag is on it. So it's a fake and he has the real one. So he actually bought two, his real one and then a fake.
Abigail would have been done like, bye. I don't know this bitch. Why are you kidnapping somebody I don't know? I don't know her. So we're now as the audience supposed to pretend that we believe that in the 2 to 3 interactions these two idiots have had together, Ben is invested.
Well, you know, they were flirty. He gave her a coin.
Please.
I think Ben just
anytime
has...
you give a lady a coin, I mean, you're kind of showing your love. So
that means they're going steady now.
It's like the penguins and the rocks.
They're going steady now. Okay, I missed
the Pater Patriae coin. You know, you gotta. If you have two, that means that's like eloping, basically.
Jerry, exactly. I'm a single lady, so I don't know how courting works.
Sorry.
So thank you for teaching me these rules. I need somebody to give me a coin, please. Thank you.
Oh man, yeah.
Tom Cruise.
It is odd. It's super odd, but I think we're supposed to think at this point that, you know, it's like he has morals, he's better than Ian, so of course he's got to go save the girl, even though they don't really have any kind of interaction much.
No chemistry.
I feel
Zero.
No, not really, no.
I feel like National Treasure would have been 10 times better if they had followed what The Mummy did with the chemistry of those two characters.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a slow burn, you know, not this.
Oh, like, I was like, if you just took Rick and Evie and like that, those are the main characters of National Treasure, that would have been amazing. It's just like, instead of The Mummy 2, we just moved to National Treasure.
Yes.
I mean, like, or imagine like Kurt Russell as like the lead.
Yes.
Oh,
and Goldie Hawn.
Patrick Swayze even. I mean.
Yes. I got chills.
They're multiplying.
That was their second karaoke duet.
Yes.
Definitely. They totally did that one. Yeah. But Diane Kruger was Zuko.
Yes, exactly. Oh, I love it. So now there's just a giant chase scene. The FBI is catching on, and Ben's like, well, we can't go to my house. I use my credit card. So let's just go to my dad's house because I need some, I got to pick up some letters anyway.
Jerry, if you use your credit card and you know Popo and the FBI after you,
nope.
Would you go to your mama's house and be like, it's cool?
Nope.
My mom
I have a Hispanic mom, so she might like beat him up or something.
Yeah.
But I mean,
pull out a chancla.
That's
Get out of my house.
Yes, this was a very.
But no, I mean, like, how do you just do that to your dad? Come on, now.
Right. And I love how his dad be snitching on him too, because my mom would lie. She could see me right there in her house and be like, she ain't here.
I can see him.
Yeah.
I don't know what she did, but I haven't seen her.
I'm gonna stick beside her. That's what she's gonna say.
So, like, wouldn't it? Okay, I have a couple of questions. Would it have been easier to just go to either Riley's house or what's her face's house? Yeah.
Abigail.
So, Abigail, thank you.
Yeah.
And second, I grew up. This came out into 2004.
Right.
We couldn't just look up the Silence Do Good letters online.
Well, they apparently try, don't they? And they're just not there.
The dad. Well, he can't look it up online because he thinks
I'm thinking of later on in the movie.
He thinks the dad has them.
Yes,
right,
so that's
which is why he goes there. But like, just go to a library and look them up. Even if you don't have these.
Well, and
I'm
that's the thing.
Sure they were by 2004.
It doesn't seem like
It wasn't.
Jackie didn't
It wasn't
put
like
in
it was
the movie.
1996 and we was just on Prodigy and AOL.
AOL.
We had the Googles.
I mean, but it wasn't. Oh, wait. Google. Well, we didn't have Google Photo yet, I don't think. Because that didn't happen to J-Lo.
Well, then you
Versace
use
dress.
web crawler because that's what you use before the Google.
You just ask Jeeves, y'all.
Yes.
R.I.P.
Had to have been a way to look up these letters
Yeah.
instead of going to Dad's house.
But it had to, well, instead of staying at Dad's house, because again, he didn't know Dad gave them away.
But why go to Dad's in the first place? You're a wanted felon and he's going to be the next person on the FBI's list.
The next clue.
Yeah,
Well,
look it up on the
letters-
Google.
Because he's a witch, bro.
She came down in a bubble. How many Wizard of Oz references are we going to do this episode?
Sorry,
So
Gerry.
anyway, I'm getting way off track, but I feel like that was a very poor plan to go to Dad's house. He had other resources he could use.
No, I mean, yeah, it totally was. But I think he wanted him because, I mean, as we've seen, like, who knows what else is hidden on these letters. I mean, he might have rubbed lemons all over it and come up with some sort of, brujeria or something. So,
But at his house, in his clean room, he
well,
had
that was
photocopies.
just ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, he had photocopies of the letters.
Oh, well, yeah, he
Not the
had to
authentic
be
letter.
able to check for other clues that weren't like copied.
Tell you what,
That's-
though, at least this part was pretty accurate because there were, Ben Franklin did actually write the Silence Do Good letters, and there were, I think they said there were 14 or something, and there actually really were. So at least we can check off the accuracy part there. So
There are
I-
conspiracies or word on the street, secret words on the street was that Ben was writing to a secret lover, and he was a
well,
man.
I mean, that wouldn't
He was a man,
that wouldn't
baby.
surprise me.
Yeah.
With some of the stuff I've heard of the founding fathers, definitely wouldn't surprise me.
Fair. So now we're at Dad's house. Dad's just kind of eating pizza and watching TV, and it's like, "What's y'all doing with that piece of paper? It looks old. You need heat. If it's a cipher, you need heat." And so they blow on it.
That doesn't
And-
work. Like, come on, y'all have hot breath, but not that hot,
Well, they see a little ink start to shine through, and so they know they're on the right track.
More lemon juice.
No, more lemon juice and
And
more
then-
heat.
And then they take a goddamn blow dryer.
Blow dryer, yes.
This is the worst thing you could do to this kind of
delicate piece of
Yeah.
our nation's history.
and it's not made out of just paper. It's like animal hide or something too, right?
Yeah, there's some
Yeah.
animal parchment in there, yeah.
Yeah, and apparently the document's ink would have dried out over time due to exposure and damaging light. So the ink wouldn't have lasted.
So this movie, as we continue to find plot holes, is obsolete. Apparently,
Well, I don't
from a
know, because if they're
historic
only
standpoint.
shining light on the front and not the back,
That's true. It's true.
I don't know.
Fair.
I want it to be real.
I know. Except for the Googling the silent studio.
Jesus.
So far, I'm not seeing any plot holes. It's all checking out.
So
All
Jerry-
checks out.
So they leave because they know the cops are on their trail. So they tie up their dad, right? And this is when like the FBI guys come and they come investigate the dad. But I think what happens next with Ben, is this where they go to the shops? Like, is this where they go change their clothes and buy all their clothes and all that?
Yes.
Mhm.
Ben and Abigail are at a store, and Riley is paying a kid to go in
Oh, that's what happened.
do
Yeah.
the
Right.
Ottendorf cipher on the Silence Do Good
On the
letter.
Silence Do Good letters.
Yeah. So Riley's like across the street from where they're being housed because Dad had donated them, so he
Right.
didn't have them.
But this is where Ian's men actually do Google, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about the scene of them getting new clothes.
Okay, yeah. This is, first of all, who has men and women's changing rooms like right next to each other like that?
Right.
I mean, I've never
And-
seen that. That seems like that's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Right.
I'm sorry.
And also like the doors are like a
barn
saloon,
doors.
They're
saloon
like
doors
stalls or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and so my titas might be out in this bitch because it might be too high or low. You know what I'm saying?
Because
Like,
someone
what
can
is
look
this?
right, or someone could just look over the door at
This
you.
is not real. And they are staring at each other while they're cheating. I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
And
Well,
there's
this is supposed to be where they fall in love.
But there's no chemistry. Rick and
There's no
Edie
chemistry
could
between them at
never
all.
do this scene without you feeling sweaty and hot because it's so steamy. This is like, how much more can we give you where you're practically butt naked in front of each other and there's still no chemistry?
You know what? It would have almost been better
like
if they were just like brother and sister.
Yes.
And like one didn't believe in the legend and the other did.
Yes, they are giving brother sister vibes.
I think
that's
concerning. She had been played, maybe like if you wanted to keep Nick Cage, I think maybe cast her as like Elizabeth Shue. And
you're bringing us back to Leaving Las Vegas.
Excuse me.
You ain't slick, Jerry.
Well, I mean, I actually bought that chemistry there. So if you're gonna have that love story, like make it really work.
Yeah.
And Diane Kruger
was
like very much younger than Nicolas Cage. Why couldn't we have gotten an actress who was maybe at his age range?
Yeah.
I feel like, you know who I would have recast? Who? Monica Potter.
Yes, I do like her.
Ooh,
she's underrated.
That's a good one.
I love Monica Potter. She plays younger than she actually is, so they're probably fairly close in age. And she just has, I don't know, like some charm that just Diane Kruger didn't bring. Yeah. So Riley gets all but the last 4 letters. And then he sees a billboard on a bus because it's pass and blank, and it's 4 more letters. And he sees pass and stow on this billboard that has the Liberty Bell on it. So he has the last 4 letters. He doesn't need the kid to come back. He's already paid the kid. But at this time, Ian's going in and he sees the kid counting and he's like, that's sus. And then he sees the kid walk out and like looking around like he's lost. And so Ian gets the last 4 letters from the kid, which are stow, and pass and stow are the one who cast the Liberty Bell. So while all of this is going on, Riley goes to the shop. Ian is Googling pass and stow. So Google did exist, or web browsing.
Well, I mean, it wasn't Google, but it did. So this is like where your logic is like completely on point. It's like, I don't get it. Like, why not just do that? But I love this part because this is where like not only Riley like actually shows his worth here, like his knowledge, but it's the most ridiculous thing for a cashier to hand someone back $100 bill.
Yeah. Hold my watch.
Like, what? Do you want to get fired? They will fire you.
I did not even notice that. This whole scene, I was just like, this is stupid.
So what they realize is that it's they're looking for Independence Hall, where the Liberty Bell was prior to it cracking. They're looking for clues, and so on the back of $100 bill, there was this relief done of Independence Hall by a friend of Benjamin Franklin's, and on the bell tower is a clock with a time, and it's 2:22. And then they're like, oh shoot, it's after 2:22. Darn. And then Riley's like, oh, I know why we can still go today. Don't you want to ask me?
Yeah, it's not too late.
It's not too late.
And he's like, he's very excited. His character is excited because this is the first time from a historical standpoint, he's beaten these 2 nerds over here.
Yeah.
And so he's very excited about this.
I was actually excited to see him do it too. I was like, you go, Riley. Yeah, you tell them. That's right. You knew that.
And so it's because daylight savings time didn't take place until World War I, where that fact is now stored in my brain forever.
I'll lose it by tomorrow.
National Treasure just be teaching you things, Danielle.
Things,
Liberty Bell is cast by Pass and Stow. I'll never forget that shit.
Gone today. Never here tomorrow.
We run
22.
over to Independence Hall.
Well, not Berry Farms, but yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yes, exactly. So yes, they did not get to run all over the roof of the actual Independence Hall. There is an exact replica at Knott's Berry Farms in Southern California. And that's where they filmed that scene.
think it's like some eccentric millionaire built replica because why?
I'm sure it was, yeah.
Yeah,
Why?
Mr. Knott's.
Why not waste my money this way?
Yeah.
Or
Exactly.
he said,
And
I need to build this so they can come.
So they all stand in the bell tower and wait till 2:22, and then the steeple points to a wall of bricks on the roof. And so I don't know how no one saw him climbing all over like this very historic building, but Ben gets down there. There is a brick with a Freemason symbol on it that's hollow, and it has these spectacles in it, the ones that my background are.
They look like old school 3D glasses. I'm gonna
3D
keep it
glasses,
real.
yeah.
I'm gonna keep it real.
Yeah.
One red, one blue. So we
Yeah.
about to go see a Marvel
Jaws.
movie. Something.
So
Jaws
they
3D.
just exactly. So they decide they're not going to get far away from Independence Hall to kind of figure out what the next clue is. They're just going to hop like a velvet rope and go where they're not supposed to and roll it out in Independence Hall and figure that shit out there. So he puts on the glasses. He sees "here" at the wall. "Here" is spelled with 2 E's. And then Ian and his goons show up. And so Ben says, we don't want him to have the declaration. We don't want him to have the glasses, but we definitely don't want him to have it together. So we're going to separate the lock from the key. And so
Jackie just got real excited. If you didn't see this on video, she got super duper excited just now.
You know. So he takes the empty leather tube with him and the glasses, and then Riley and Abigail take the metal insert tube and they separate and go 2 separate ways. So Ben's being chased by a couple of guys, and Riley and Abigail are being chased by another. And then this is where
she hides, right?
Yes. So they go into like this like market, and she jumps behind a counter, and the lady was like, unless you're a steak, you shouldn't be behind here. And she's like, I'm hiding from my ex-husband. And the lady like looks at the angry bald man, is like, you can stay as long as you want.
I think we should just start teaching our children, when stranger danger happens, find the nearest Black woman and
she'll protect you. Yeah. And because not only did the lady let her hide there, the guy kind of comes up to the counter, he's looking around, and she says, do you want something? And he goes, like he tells her, shut up. And then she turns, like after he like stomps away, she's like, I can see why you left him. I'm like, this is the best character in this whole damn movie.
The whole damn movie.
Yeah.
So one of the guys catches Ben on the rooftop. He throws the leather case. The guy goes after it. He sees that container is empty. So he knows that Abigail and Riley have the declaration.
What happened? You know why I had a problem with this movie?
Tell me.
Well, when we were going to watch it, I was super stoked. Do you know why? Because I thought we were watching National Treasure 2.
Oh, in Mount Rushmore?
Oh, yeah.
I thought the entire plot from National Treasure 2 was National Treasure 1.
Oh,
And so I was like, yes, this is my favorite one. And I was like, oh shit, that's the second one. So
You were hyped for no reason.
no damn reason. I said, when is mama coming? Where's the queen's desk?
Which
None of that
isn't his mom
shit
played by
happened.
like Helen Mirren?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah. Helen Mirren and John Voight as your parents? Yes, please.
No, please. I don't want
Well, not John
Voight to be my
Voight.
daddy
Helen Mirren,
all
yes.
day.
Well, no,
Helen
I just
Mirren.
mean like as far as like their presence. Oh man, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's true.
Yeah, but
So
no, but you're right. I think Angelina Jolie told us that that's
A
not a
long
good
time
idea.
ago, she told us.
Yeah,
yes.
not a good idea.
So now Abigail trips and falls, like chucks the Declaration of Independence into the street. And we're watching cars like drive over it, but straddling it so they're not squashing it. So Riley and Abigail do not get caught. They are able to get the Declaration and get away. And they call Ben and they're like, hey, we're good. And he's like, meet me at the car. But then they see that the FBI are at the car. So Ben gets arrested. This is when they have the very civil chat with Ben in handcuffs where they're like, we just need to arrest someone. So Ben's like, I got you. Let's come up with a plan.
I was waiting for him to be like waterboarded or something.
Yeah. Just like all this talking has happened. I was like, oh, he gonna get it now. But the FBI is like, so kind citizen of America, please help us find.
We know you were just trying to do your civic duty.
Harvey Keitel, like
of all people,
actor, and he's like so flat in this.
Yeah. This is
so,
a paycheck.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so
this.
He was underutilized. Like you have Harvey Keitel and he just like saunters into a scene, talks to Nicolas Cage for 3 lines and saunters back out.
Hey, I'm going to do this movie, but I only want to do it for a couple of days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pay me $1 million.
Yeah. That's where the budget went.
He's Harvey Keitel. You got to do it.
Let's look at our line items. Harvey Keitel.
$1 million.
$1 mil.
So Ben is telling the FBI everything, start to finish, like Ian's involvement, his involvement, Abigail Chase's, and he's like, I will help you. Riley is out of it and Abigail's out of it, and I'll get you Ian. Like those are my terms. And they're amenable to that, apparently.
So let me get this straight. Man walks in, steals the Declaration of Independence. Runs away from his daddy's house, leave his daddy to rot in jail. And then you catch him. And then he says, all right, everybody goes free. And I get you this other guy who was trying to steal it, but didn't steal it.
Yeah.
Make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think Ian was probably the bigger draw because I think like when he was talking about, because Ian was funding Ben. And so I think Ian was getting his funds from some shit that was not on the up and up.
It does not matter. Intent versus actually committing a crime are 2 different things.
He just needed a body, Danielle. Needed a body.
This don't make sense. This don't make sense.
Well, in movie terms, Ben still has leverage because they don't have the Declaration.
That's true.
I feel like
that doesn't work out in real life. In movie world, yeah. Why?
And we also have to talk about the fact of the way that DC is built. It is like a circle, right? The way that it's.
But they weren't in DC
originally when he stole the Declaration. He was in DC. So as soon as that thing happened,
close the bridges.
How did he get out?
Yeah.
That's what always perplexed me because I got lost in DC once and it's a circle. I said it was a circle, right? I was lost, but it's a circle.
So Abigail asks Riley to get in touch with Ian because she's like, we have to have a backup plan and Ian's going to have to be it because now the FBI has Ben. And so Ian gets in contact with Ben and he's like, I'm going to trade you the Declaration, but you need to tell me everything, essentially.
I think, honestly, the root of the differences between these 2 characters is because at Ben's core, it's the history, it's his family's legacy, and he cares about the actual documents and this history that's been passed down. Now, the other guy is like, Ian's like, money, that's it. Like he does not respect any of it. He could care less. He has shown 0 respect for any of this stuff Because even in the way that he went to go steal it in the first place, but guns blazing, not giving a shit.
That's true.
What's up, dudes? I'm Jerry D of Totally Rad Christmas, the podcast that talks all things Christmas in the 80s. Toys, movies, specials, music, books, fashion, and fads.
If it was gnarly during Christmas in the 80s, he's got it covered. Wait, is there a lot of things to talk about for the 80s and Christmas?
Well, you got the movie giants like Christmas Vacation, Scrooged, and A Christmas Story. There are TV specials like Muppet Family Christmas, Claymation Christmas Celebration, and a Garfield Christmas special.
Plus classics shown every year.
You also jam out to Last Christmas, Do They Know It's Christmas, and Christmas in Hollis. But most of all, it was a time for the most bodacious, best-selling Christmas toys ever, like He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers,
and Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yes, them too. We cover them all, plus much more, including standard segments like Hap Hap Happiest Memory, Gag Me with the Spoon, The Other Half of the Battle,
and Chant with the Littles.
So tune in to Totally Rad Christmas everywhere you get your podcasts. Turn the clock back and dive into those warm and fuzzy memories.
Later, dudes.
So now the FBI has like a sting where Ben's going to go meet Ian on top of the Intrepid in New York. And
shout out if you live in New York and during the summers, you go and watch movies on the Intrepid because it's fun. Thank you.
That's cool.
I haven't been on the Intrepid. I need to go.
Yes.
So they rendezvous on the top deck of the Intrepid, and Ben's like, I'm gonna see myself out, and just like dives into the water. There is some exposition earlier about how he was like an expert diver and things like that. So seems like he's comfortable in those type of situations. But then he gets into the water and Ian's like cronies are there with like a air tank and stuff to rescue him. This never really made sense to me.
So it's just a plan to stash him. That's really all it is, just to get him away from the FBI guys.
That's true.
And you know, Ian, who's not really calling the shots, we find out that it's all a plan from Diane Kruger.
Yes.
I don't know why Abigail, I can't remember her name. We find out it's all like her doing, but it's basically just a way of getting Ben away from the FBI guys and back on the trail. So.
And Danielle, where did he jump?
Why does motherfucker the dirty ass Hudson?
I'm like, oh, Danielle's gonna have an opinion about this.
It's so dirty.
Which they call out because the FBI is like, can you see him? And they're like, it's the Hudson. You can't see anything. I'm like,
sure you saw baby's diapers floating. You couldn't pay me enough money to go into that fucking water.
All the treasures for centuries, for millennia.
I felt this way about Hitch as well. Wanted to throw up when I saw that.
So Ian hands everything they've collected thus far over to Ben, and
including Abigail and Riley.
Yes.
They find them.
And while Ben is talking to the FBI agents, there's an agent sitting there like absentmindedly playing with the specs, and Ben's noticing as they lift a lens, like the paper changes. So he's like, oh, there must be more. I have to play with the lenses. And so that's what he does. He figures out it's Trinity Church in New York City at Wall Street and Broadway.
Right. This is the part that I actually was intrigued about, because one of the things I loved about living in New York was you forget it is an old city. It's one of the original colonies, and there's just so much history that's there. Mm-hmm. And when you go down to Wall Street in that area, you know, you still have like the cobblestones. It's just like a little bit of history from that time period that still, it just amazes me that there's still all these little haunts around that have been
little secrets waiting to be found.
Yes.
Was Wall Street really built like around a path that the Dutch, like an actual wall that they were talking about, like the Dutch to keep the...
Yes, Wall Street in New York does follow the path of a wall built by the Dutch settlers to keep the British out, which love that.
I do love that.
Love wealthy landowners saying, I want my freedom.
So now is when it turns to Indiana Jones, because we have to go into church. and we have to break into a crypt.
In a crypt, yeah. This poor dude's body, man.
I know.
I felt so bad.
And
find a treasure, desecrate some remains. It's
always. And they have dad too.
Yeah.
Ian went and snatched dad as insurance.
He didn't like not being in charge, so he snagged dad just to be in charge.
Just to have another bargaining chip that wasn't on the table.
And it worked.
At this point, I feel like Ben didn't give a shit about his daddy because clearly he led the FBI to his house and dipped.
And dad the whole time is like, you have to change the status quo. You have to have something that he wants. Right now you do, because you are leading him to the treasure.
Know all the info, right?
Right. As soon as you get to the treasure, status quo changes and he's going to kill all of us. And so dad's like, we have to figure out a way to change the status quo. He said status quo like 8 times in the period of like 3 minutes.
That's where the $100 million were. They're like, let's see how much you can get status quo into your lines.
$1 million every time you can say it.
Every time you can say the word status quo. Yes. I buy it. Yeah, that checks out.
And I love how Ben's like, Dad, are you all right? And he's like, what do you mean, am I all right? I'm a hostage. Like dad is just dad a day ago was just sitting and watching Wheel of Fortune and eating pizza at home. And now he's in Trinity Church in New York as a hostage going down this janky old ass wooden staircase. Yeah. Dumbwaiter contraption.
And I tell you, no lie, as we recall this movie, guess what I'm thinking? Well, when they get into the Mount Rushmore, what we get into
we're still thinking we're getting to Mount Rushmore.
Part 1, we're still in part 1 here.
She ain't coming, Danielle.
It was like, how are we getting from New York to the Dakotas?
It's the secret tunnel from Trinity Church to Mount Rushmore.
I don't know why the second movie has left such a distinctive impression on my brain. Like sitting here, well,
maybe that's why
we get into Mount Rushmore.
So now we're going down. The stairs are falling apart. I love how they're like, "How did people build this?" And they're like, Riley goes, "The same way they built the pyramids. The aliens helped them." Yes, I love.
Good job, Riley.
I love Riley.
I know that's one conspiracy theory I don't believe. I like to still believe that Black people built it. I don't care who says what. Thank you and bye.
Yeah. You're probably close to the truth. So they're going down the staircase. It's falling apart. As Dad puts it, it's 200 years of termites and rot. And at one point, like, shit's just falling. Abigail is falling. Ben catches her, but the Declaration is about to fall too. He's on like this swing thing. The dumbwaiter is swinging. And he's like, trust me. Let's go. He doesn't even like launch her. He just lets go of her. She falls onto a platform below while he grabs the Declaration. He goes to apologize and she's like, don't worry, I would have done the exact same thing.
Rick would never. Rick from The Mummy would never.
Never. He was saving Evie and the Declaration.
He would have found a way.
Yeah. And he would have been confident.
Life finds a way.
And golden. His skin would have been golden and glistening.
Man,
I really wish
this Fraser.
Right?
So great. Love him.
Oh, how awesome would this movie have been as just a continuation of the Mummy?
Why didn't you think of this shit? Come on.
Because they probably had Nicolas Cage to star first. They were like, let's do something. We got to do something with Nick Cage. You into history? Yeah. All right, let's do that.
Well, and it's rivals because Universal put out The Mummy.
Yeah.
Disney put out National Treasure.
Gotcha.
They probably saw how well The Mummy did and was like, you need to fast track some like treasure hunter shit.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, so many, like Tomb Raider did well. I guess they were like, okay, let's make our own Indiana Jones.
Yeah. So they get to the bottom and they find the Crusader and the Grails and they have to choose. Wait, okay. I forgot what movie we're in.
Did they choose wisely or poorly?
They chose poorly.
Ian just starts turning into an accelerated mummy.
Yes. Spoiler alert, this is our nerdiest episode ever so far today.
You're welcome.
So yes, we get to the bottom. It's a dead end. And they're like, this is it. And Ian's like about to start shooting people because he's like, y'all are lying to me. And finally Dad goes, okay, it's the lantern. Paul Revere hung a lantern in Boston. 2 by land, 1 if by sea. You need to go to Boston, blah, blah, blah. There's a spiral staircase. He's just making shit up. And what he says, like after they leave, Abigail's like, it was the British came by sea. There should have been 2 lanterns. He's like, they just needed a clue. Where'd you go?
Sorry.
He was muted. Yeah.
Shout out to Wentworth Cheswell, the Black man who rode with Revere that we never learn about. Just another nugget. This is what I'm talking about. If you thought about me saying all this shit throughout this whole episode, this is what I'm talking about.
Well, what was that? There was that little girl too, that young girl that rode, and she actually rode twice as far as he did. I don't remember her name at the moment, but Drunk History taught me that. So,
ooh, let me look up her name.
That episode. Yeah. So now Ian is gone. He's out of their hair, and Riley's like, "But we're still stuck down here." And so, was this when they used the pipe, or was this just the all-seeing eye that he like pokes in the eyeball and then it opens up another chamber?
I think this is when he uses the pipe, right?
Okay. So he uses the pipe that Ian had given him, and it's kind of like a key.
Yeah, they press a button, whatever, they find the actual treasure. It's amazing. They light some torches, they find their way out, because of course they wouldn't have just dug one way, they would have dug them another way out.
Right.
And it sets up like the very next scene is when Ian's going to the church and he gets arrested by Harvey Keitel. And
that's right.
Ben is just kind of like in the car, like, I got you.
He's like, yeah, and Ben's like, I told you I'd give you someone to arrest.
Exactly. Like, yeah, there you go.
And so like Ben appreciates the historical value of all this treasure because it is treasure that has been collected for millennia. So it's like stuff from ancient Egypt, it's stuff from the Roman Empire, it's stuff from ancient Greece. Like it's just it's been compiled stuff. Yeah, exactly.
It's stolen. These are stolen things, and he understand that, and Ben needs to go back.
Right. Yeah. Ben says we need to distribute it to all of the museums all over the world.
And that's where my problem is, because museums as a whole, that's not going back to where they came from. There are civilizations and people who deserve their history back. And what ends up, I'm sure, happening to these relics, they end up going to European and American museums and not back to where they're supposed to. And that is one of the reasons, like, it's great we learn history, whatnot, but like there are cultures that want their shit back, and we don't give it to them. So
yeah. And so the world as a collective had offered to pay Abigail and Ben and Riley 10% of their findings. And Ben said it was too much. He would only accept 1%. So we see now Ben and Abigail live in this like estate.
Batman's house.
Yes.
They live in literally.
I told you, Danielle. It's because Ben is Bruce Wayne.
In his not in his lifetime. Maybe his cousin. It's his cousin. They're cousins.
So they're in this huge estate. Riley pulls up in a Lamborghini, I think.
Some sort of nice car.
A car, right, Jerry? Thank you. Finally, somebody.
Yeah. Look, there's very few cars I know. I know the Batmobile.
Right.
I know the DeLorean.
Right.
I know Kit from Back to the Future.
Real cars.
Kit from Knight Rider.
Right.
So it's like I'm good.
Yeah.
I got what I
Man,
need.
I was wrong. It was not a Lamborghini. It was a Ferrari. So
Oh,
It's a red
I
car,
don't know.
y'all.
It's
That's
it
what
is a
I
red
saw.
car.
Yeah.
Riley cannot drive manual transmission. He's burning that clutch. He's stalling the car, but he is complaining that they only got 1%. So that puts in perspective how much treasure was actually down there. And then we find out in the second one, there's even more treasure we have to find.
Can't
Well,
wait
of
for that
course.
one.
But for now, that is National Treasure.
So
The Mummy Part 3.
I found the little girl. Her name is Sybil Luddington. She was a young woman. She was 16 years old. She was a young
16,
woman
yeah.
who lived in Royal Dutchess County, New York, close to Connecticut border. During the American Revolution, the daughter of a commander in the Dutchess County militia is said to have ridden 40 miles into what is today Connecticut to warn members of her father's militia that the British were about to attack their neighborhood.
Yep, that's the one.
So another piece of history that we don't hear.
Make a movie about her.
Right. Well, let's find out
Yeah.
her background first before we invest in that. I mean, I like history, but I don't want to you know what I mean? You know what I mean, right?
I know what you mean.
Like if she was a Quaker, I'm good. But if not, questionable. I don't need another movie. You know what I'm saying? If y'all know what I'm saying. Okay.
Fair. Are there any fun facts that we missed?
So many. But let's see. So Ben, Patrick, and John Gates were all named after the founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, Patrick Henry, and John Adams. Abigail Chase is the combination of Abigail Adams, wife of John, and Samuel Chase, a signer of the Declaration of Independence, and later an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Do you ever get the feeling when we talk about our founding fathers, it just feels like the founding of the Justice League, but they're not like good? Is that just
Isn't that super?
Yeah. That's how I feel like we tell these stories, like, you know, or
I mean, I'll be honest, history's really never been interesting to me, like ever. So, I studied it in school. I was like, yeah, whatever. I learned these facts. I really don't remember a whole lot about it just because I don't care. Like, I'd rather watch Lion-O beat Mumra or something.
I never liked American history when I was growing up. I just never did. I thought it was kind of boring. But when we started doing European history, because that's all we learned. That's all. We only learned European history.
True.
I thought like all the drama with the kings and the queens were interesting, but now that I'm learning a little bit more about that, I'm like, oh, gross. Y'all were just sleeping with your sisters and brothers. But now I find the more I find out about real American history and the things that we haven't been told, I find those to be very interesting.
Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah,
I think that's why I like. And I know it's dumb, but I know also like it's really based off stuff, like true stuff. That's why I like drunk history so much.
Yeah.
It's so fun. You're like, wow, that's kind of cool. I never knew that.
Great concept. Like it's so smart because we're so dumb in this country. So they're like, how do we teach them real things without them being like, I'm on to this. You're trying to make me learn things. I don't like it.
Why are you putting things into my brain? Well, Danielle, the filmmakers did not plan to make a sequel, but because the first one did so well, that's where we get the National Treasure Book of Secrets. And sadly, it came out in 2007, so we won't get to do it on the podcast.
Yes, we will.
I'm sorry.
I mean, you like Kobayashi Maru, just kind of bend it a little bit. You'll make it work.
So you're telling me we don't get to do Mighty Ducks 1, Mighty Ducks 2, and now we don't get to do National Treasure 2? This is bullshit. Okay. This is the disappointment of my life. You waited to the end of this, didn't you? You knew this.
No. I was just reading the fun facts and I was like, oh, she's going to be so disappointed. Well, it says the sequel was given the green light in 2005. I'm like, there's no way they shot it and it came out in 2005. So,
and I put together the notes. How did I not put this together? My brain was trying to prevent me from feeling this trauma. That's
yes,
what it is.
Yeah, you're like, we're just gonna bypass that part and it'll be fine. All
right. Well, Jerry, before we get into our ratings, why don't you give us your social handles so everybody can follow your podcast?
Okay. So Facebook and Instagram at Totally Rad Christmas, Twitter at Rad Christmas. You can also go to Linktree / Totally Rad Christmas or totallyradchristmas.com. You can get to all that stuff through there. And if you go on Facebook, which I know is kind of outdated now, but I do have a group there called Totally Rad Christmas Mall and Arcade, where we just talk anything 80s and Christmas related, usually more 80s than Christmas, but that's okay too.
And if you want to know more about Jerry's pod and a little bit about Jerry and his taste in treasure movies, check out our trailer that we had before this episode and take a listen. And if you have some hot takes, I have trashed our American government for a good hour or in some time. You have some feelings about that, keep that to yourself. But if you have feelings about the movie, then hit us up at No More Late Fees on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. We are very close to reaching 10,000 followers on TikTok. So if you haven't followed, please give us a follow. We'd appreciate it. Let's get into the present day ratings. We'll start with you, Jerry.
This is tough because now that I've seen it again, I mean, I like to watch it, but like only when I'm in the mood for it.
Right.
So I still really like it.
Yeah.
But I think it might be more of like a 2-day rental.
Wow. Okay. Jackie?
I will watch this movie any chance I get. And I don't own it. Someone in my family plan owns it, so I didn't have to buy it. But I will always and forever watch National Treasure anytime it's on. There was one 4th of July. It was like on TBS. And it was about the third, like, because they just start
Play
the movie over.
Yeah.
And mom's like, my mom, she's like, oh, I've never seen National Treasure 2. And we're like, Mom, it's the same movie. And oh my God.
Oh no.
Like 6 hours.
Felt your disappointment, Danielle.
Miss Terry, I understand.
So we will watch it on repeat, apparently, if given the opportunity.
So that's a
Would buy
again. Yeah. Okay, well, nostalgia plays a really big factor in this movie, but now that I very much understand that this is not National Treasure 2, I'm torn between a 5-day and a 2-day rental.
That's where I was too. It was so hard.
I'm probably gonna go with Jerry and say a 2-day rental, only because it's not National Treasure 2. Okay, I'm out.
She chose poorly.
And I think when I watch the disappointment I'm about to have watching National Treasure 2, it's gonna be big.
Just keep telling yourself it was okay. It'll be better when you watch it.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
If you have any feedback, want to suggest future movies, what you liked and disliked, give us corrections, Blockbuster or video stories, your favorite moments from the pod. You can hit us up at our quick drop 909-601-NMLF 909-601-6653. You can also leave a voice message on our Anchor FM or twat us at the Twitter, and then you can be featured on a future episode.
And stay tuned for next week as we go into John Waters' wonderful world of Pecker, one of Jackie and I's movies.
Full of grace. And as always, be kind and rewind.